can count on three things, right? Death, taxes, Mr. Baseball.
Some people have traditions.
How do the wives feel about this?
Oh, they're happy.
These six started an institution.
Baseball was the vehicle, but I think the friendship was the glue. That's how I would put it.
America's pastime has inspired this modern legend, the Mr. Baseball Fantasy League.
And I've been as high as second this year.
That was the
This
second
morning-
day of the season.
That friendly fire has been fueled for 43 consecutive seasons now, making this one of the longest running fantasy leagues ever.
You know, when we first started, the five of us were in our younger 20s, and then Rick was there, and he's smoking a pipe the first year.
I knew you were going to bring that up.
George Brett, 10 cents, $5. Puff, puff, puff. Holy Christ. Puff, puff, puff. Oh my God, you know, it seemed like he was 100, and here we are, now he is, you know. It's like, God, how did we get here?
Back in 1981, Rick Dominy came across an article that outlined this brand new idea at the time. You could compete against others by managing a make-believe baseball team based on real Major League athletes. Their performance on the field would translate to your team's success.
Said, hey, this might be a good game to play. Let's give it a try.
Rick, Tim Shaw, and Dennis Fox were all a part of that founding group. This new league, of course, needed a name. So they landed on Mr. Baseball.
We weren't particularly articulate. We figured that the winner, the first year we decided, would be Mr. Baseball, and the loser was Mrs. Baseball.
Wasn't early on, the Mrs. Baseball had to wear a bra
During
the
the
draft.
draft,
Yes, for a period of time, and that, I think, as we progressed, we
Well, we
got out
all
of
got
that.
too fat and it brought in fit anymore.
And keep in mind, this was well before modern technology, so everything, literally everything, was done by hand.
God awful. It was.
It was a nightmare. 6 or 7 hours to do a draft.
To do it.
Or the first year was even longer.
Right.
And if they thought that was a pain, tracking and mailing stats during the season, that was even worse.
So once a month we'd get a packet. It was this thick full of paper from whoever did the stats that month.
And the truth is, if we knew then what we knew now, I don't know that we would have done it, but we didn't know any different. So it was just the way it was.
And just like the sport it simulated, Mr. Baseball became a spring staple. Season after season, this league would have a draft, and every member would be in attendance.
You know, when we first started out, most of us were single, and so you were required to tell your future bride that this is Mr. Baseball weekend and we can get married, but I will not be around. And then we screwed it up. We had some kids' birthdays right in that time period, and we had to say, sorry, Dad can't be there because he's going away.
Life tried its best to get in the way. Divorces, deaths, moves, members dropping in and out. And about 20 years ago, they briefly decided to break this off.
And Dennis was the one that kind of saved it. He said, you know, he got on the phone with us and he said, I'm going to really miss Mr. Baseball. We can have it at my house. And that was really a pivot point, I think. And since then, there just hasn't been any issue. It's understood.
In fact, things have only gotten smoother, especially after 2003. Rick's son Mike, one of the league's newer faces then, helped them finally transition into the 21st century.
Just because I'm the youngest one in the group, a little more savvy on the computer, I was telling them, hey, we can do this on the computer, guys. Let's get you into Yahoo. Was our platform, and we've been in it ever since.
The guys say that digital era difference became a huge blessing and a bit of a curse.
I won it my first year in it, and cut. So, and then I happened to win it again the second year. Cut!
I'm surprised you're still in the league, Mike, based on what I've heard.
I know, yeah.
Spawned by a craving for competition, now providing a lifelong community. Doug, Dennis, Mike, Rick, and Tim. 6 Midwest men keeping their friendship and the fight to be Mr. Baseball alive.
Forever.
Just do his part, I suspect.